right, class. We have some notes that we need to finish. Yes, I'm out today. I do not feel 100%. I need to take care of myself. So, let's get started with our notes. Yesterday, if you were in class, which is all of y'all, because this is third and fourth period that I'm talking about too, you got some rules and how to use the rules to solve for a missing side in a special right triangle. So in a 45, 45, 90, our rules are 1, 1, radical 2. And so the legs are 1 and the hypotenuse is radical 2. So let us go ahead and label each of these triangles with our rules. On this triangle, this leg is going to be 1. 1, radical 2. 1, 1, radical 2. 1, 1, radical 2. So I told y'all today I would teach y'all some shortcuts. So before we get into those shortcuts, let's talk about what it says right here. It says the legs of a 45, 45, 90 are always congruent because we saw that these were isosceles right triangles. So the legs are always congruent. And so if the legs are always congruent, then we should be able to see pretty automatically that x is the same as the other leg, that x is 8, without even having to set up and solve our proportion. But we are going to have to set up and solve a proportion to find y. Y, missing side, over radical 2, the rule, equals given side over rule. What is our given side? Our given side is 8 over what is the rule with 8? Our rule with 8 is 1. And so now we need to cross multiply. We need to butterfly. Y times 1 is y, and 8 times radical 2 is 8 radical 2. So y is 8 radical 2. All right. So again, the legs in a 45, 45, 90 are congruent. So if the legs are congruent, we should see pretty quickly that y is what? Hopefully you said that y is 25. So that's solved for. Let's look at x. Let's solve for x. So again, how do we use our rules? It's missing side over rule equals given side over rule. So our missing side, we set up a proportion, is x over the rule is radical 2 equals our given side, which is 25, over the rule is 1. And so now we need to butterfly. We need to cross multiply. X times 1 is just x. And then 25 times radical 2 is 25 radical 2. All right. Here's our last 45, 45, 90 that we're going to do. We are looking for the legs, so we don't have anything that matches at this point except for the legs match. So once we find x, we will have found y. And so let's set up our proportion and solve it. We got x over 1 equals 19 over radical 2. Now here's a shortcut I wanted to show you. Anytime your x or your y is over 1, that means that x is already by itself. X divided by 1 is just x. And so x equals 19 over radical 2. But we cannot leave it as over radical 2, so we have to rationalize. And so we have to multiply by radical 2 over radical 2. And that is going to equal 19 radical 2 over 2. And so x is 19 radical 2 over 2. 19 radical 2 over 2. You might be thinking, Miss, why didn't you use the shortcut you showed us yesterday when it came to rationalizing? Well, the reason I didn't use the shortcut is because 19 doesn't divide by 2 evenly. And so when it doesn't divide evenly, and you can just put that divided number and tack the 1 at the end, you do have to rationalize by multiplying by 1. All right. So now let's look at 30, 60, 90s. Opposite the 30 on the short leg, we have our rule of 1. The hypotenuse is 2, and then the long leg is radical 3. So short leg is 1, long leg is radical 3, and hypotenuse is 2. So let us spend some time simply labeling all of our triangles. When you label a triangle, the first thing you're going to do is look for the short leg and label it 1. The hypotenuse is 2 in a 30, 60, 90, and the long leg is radical 3. So we have 1, 2, radical 3. 1, 2, radical 3. 1, 2, radical 3. 1 for the short leg, 2 for the hypotenuse, radical 3 for the long leg. And last but not least, 1, 2, radical 3. So all of our rules are labeled. Now we have to set up proportions and solve for our missing sides. So in our first question, number 4, we are going to do x over, what's the rule with x? The rule with x is radical 3 equals given side. The side that we're given, the only side that we know, is 5 over 1. And to solve this proportion, we have to cross multiply. X times 1 is just x, and 5 times radical 3 is 5 radical 3. And so x equals 5 radical 3. All right, to find y, we're going to put y over the rule, the missing side over the rule. What is the rule with y? The rule with y is 2. And that's going to equal our given side. The only side that we know is still 5 over the rule, which is 1. And if we want to get y by itself, we need to cross multiply. Y times 1 is just y. And 5 times 2, what is 5 times 2? 10. All right, let's look at number 5, the next 30, 60, 90 right triangle. All right, so let's solve for x first. We're going to put x over the rule, so missing side over rule. What is the rule with x? All right, what we labeled right next to x is 2. So x over 2 equals our given side, 14 over 1. And now we need to cross multiply. X times 1 is x. 14 times 2 is 28. And so x, the hypotenuse, is 28 units long. Well, let's now find y. We got y over radical 3 equals 14 over 1. we need to cross multiply. Y times 1 is y. And 14 times radical 3 is 14 radical 3. All right, and so y equals 14 radical 3. All right, let's move on to number 6. Here we're going to get to use a shortcut. Let's find x first. We have x over, what is the rule with x? The rule with x is the number that we labeled right next to x. And so that number is 1. So we have x over 1 equals our given side, which is 32, over 2. And something that I need you to see right now is that x is already by itself. X equals 32 over 2. And we don't have to leave that as a fraction because 32 divided by 2 is what number? Yep, 32 divided by 2 is 16. So x equals 16. Now let's find y. We got y over radical 3 equals 32 over 2. If we want to get y by itself, we need to cross multiply. Y times 2 is 2y. 32 times radical 3 is 32 radical 3. If we want to get y by itself, we got 2y currently. We have to divide by 2. And to divide this number with a radical by 2, it's like dividing 16x by 2. You just divide these numbers and get 8x. And so 32 radical 3 divided by 2, we're just going to divide these numbers and get 16 radical 3. And so y equals 16 radical 3. All right, we have 3 more problems to go. All right, on number 7, let's find x first. And so to find the value of each missing variable, we must set up a proportion and solve. How do we set up our proportion? It goes missing side over rule equals given side over rule. So what is our rule with x? Our rule with x is radical 3. Our rule with our given side is 2. All right. We must cross multiply in order to solve. X times 2 is 2x. And 46 times radical 3 is 46 radical 3. X is not by itself. We have 2x, so we have to divide by 2 on both sides. And we get that x equals 23 radical 3. All right, now it's time to find y. We got y over 1 equals 46 over 2. All right, hopefully you see that y is already divided by 1, meaning it's already by itself. And so y divided by 1 is y. Therefore, y equals 46 over 2, which we don't need to leave as a fraction because 46 divides by 2 perfectly, and 46 divided by 2 is 23. And so y is 23. All right. Let us find x. We're going to put our missing side x over the rule with x. What is the rule with x? The rule with x is 2. And that is going to be proportional to our given side 20 over the rule with 20, which is radical 3. We need to cross multiply. X times radical 3 is x radical 3. 20 times 2 is 40. So to get x by itself, we have to divide by radical 3. These radical 3's cancel out, and I'm left with x equals 40 divided by radical 3. But I'm not allowed to keep it that way because we cannot have a radical in the denominator. We cannot have a square root in the bottom of a fraction, because if we do, we'll go to math jail. So we have to rationalize. Now, we could use the shortcut, but we would run into an issue. I told you all the shortcut was take the number on top, divide it by the number inside, and then tack the radical, the whole bottom, onto the back. But the issue here is that the number on top does not divide evenly by the number on bottom. So to rationalize, we take our 40 radical 3, and we multiply by radical 3 over radical 3. And we get 40 radical 3 over 3. And so x is 40 radical 3 over 3. Let us find y. Y over 1 equals 20 over radical 3. All right. So y is already by itself. And so y equals 20 over radical 3. But we cannot leave it like that because we cannot have a radical in the denominator. I've shown you what it looks like whenever the top number does not divide evenly by the bottom number. So I'm hoping that many of us can see the pattern and rationalize without having to use all the rationalization steps. And see that this will turn into 20 radical 3 divided by 3. All right, here's our last problem. Let's find x first. And so to find the side on our special right triangle, we have to set up and solve a proportion. To set up our proportion, we're going to take our missing side, x, and put it over the rule. And the rule on that side is 1. And that's going to be proportional to our given side, 9 radical 3, over its rule, which is radical 3. And so what I'm hoping you see is a shortcut. X divided by 1 is just x. And so x equals 9 radical 3 divided by radical 3. But these radical 3's cancel out. So x simply equals 9. Let's find y. Y over 2 equals 9 radical 3 over radical 3. This one, y is not by itself, so we do have to cross multiply. Y times 3 is y radical 3. 9 radical 3 times 2 is 18 radical 3. All right, we are going to divide by radical 3 on both sides so that y will be by itself. These 3's cancel out, and I'm left with y equals, these radical 3's cancel out, 18. All right, so let's talk about your quiz. You're about to take your Unit 5 quiz. For the Unit 5 quiz, the good news is it's open note. The bad news is there are 2 special right triangles on the quiz. Alright, so they are not very hard, but there are 2 on the quiz. One 45, 45, 90, one 30, 60, 90. Alright, and so it is open note, but it is not open neighbor. So you're expected to work silently and independently for the rest of class. We'll see how long this video is, but please start your quiz in 3rd period by, if we get out at, and then we have lunch. Let me do some math. Y'all leave 15 minutes after lunch. I want you to have about 45 minutes to work on it. And then 30 minutes before lunch is going to be start by 12:23. So, start quiz. Hopefully this video will be over by then. And then 4th period, you're going to start your quiz by 2:50. All right. Hopefully this was short and sweet, and you'll have plenty of time to do your quiz. If you want to wait and start your quiz and after you get back from lunch 3rd period, we're welcome to do that. But that is all I have for you today. Please do your best on the quiz. The formulas are provided for you. And your quiz is open note, so there's no excuse on not having the information or the formulas that you would need. So do your best. I'll see you on Monday, and these quiz grades are going in on Sunday. All right, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.